Now, the rest of the story.
I want to talk real quick about the valley. This is your last update before I cut it, which I'm hoping tomorrow is the day. The reason I say that is because today is Wednesday, the whatever it says at the beginning of this video, and they are calling for some pretty ugly weather that could be hitting this area tonight. So as long as we're not dealing with a bunch of damage or just way too much rain, the plan is to come down and cut this tomorrow. So I'm in the bottom, and I'm sitting on the four-wheeler, and I think I've made the reference this spring about height-wise where I'm looking for this stuff to be is eye level when I'm standing on the four-wheeler. And that's me standing up, and I can just barely look down across it. I'm sitting up on, to be quite honest, this is like my favorite part of the bottom, just more because it's scenic with, you know, the river is going down between the trees and the river is right along that tree line there. That's the opposite bank, but it is pretty scenic down here. It's nice seeing that the cut rated fertilizer I put on this spring doesn't seem to have hurt me. I dropped it down to 150 pounds of dry fert this spring versus the 250 pounds I put on last year. And then going forward, depending on pricing, I'm going to strongly consider doing dry fertilizer after first cut is taken off. Then I'll come through with my Radiate. As far as a weed killer, there's some weeds down in here. I don't know if the grass is just kind of squelching it out or what, but a little bit of broadleaf is all I've really found. I mean, it's not nearly as heavy as I've seen it in the past. And what I'm doing, I do it every year. I like to come down and drive the four-wheeler around the outside edge of the bottom, largely around where the river is, because when this stuff is this tall, sitting in the tractor, you're high up off the ground where you're looking down on the mower. But the problem is this tall material, I can't see where the mower is actually going as far as a reference point. So having this here, it gives me something to kind of aim for where I know where I should or shouldn't be going. I mean, I'm not driving out right along the bank, so I got some room, some wiggle room. When I come through and do second cut, the stuff won't be as tall, and I'll be able to cut a little bit more precise out to the bank, which I don't want to go too far because I don't want to risk anybody dropping any tires off into the bank, because that would be all that fall would hurt and it'd be wet, because there is not a single spot around here that it's a gentle drop off. It's, you go off the bank and then you go straight down. So dropping any tires down off onto that is not good. It's not something I want to do. And then, whoops, there goes the dog. This stuff, first cut is probably going to consist of 50% of my overall tonnage for this year. I am aiming for 3 cuttings. We'll be about a week behind last year, and to be honest, I don't think it hurt me. I can kind of fudge the cutting dates on second and third crop a little bit. Granted, last year I could have cut second crop sooner than what I did down here. So going for tonnage, definitely on first cut. I'm planning on going and making everything down here, which it's about 120 acres. It varies, about 5 acres. I've had it as little as like 110 up to 120. I usually figure a rolling average, especially like when spraying, I usually end up with about 117. But there's also areas that I'm not able to get to for spraying, because with that tractor I don't risk getting stuck. So I haven't been over on the low spots yet. I don't know if there's any water sitting in them. I can about guarantee you, yeah, there is, especially after tonight. So as far as going and cutting all the low-lying areas for first cut, isn't going to happen. And with this much material, that ground is not going to dry out. It's not super wet either, but as you can see, it's not going to dry out with this material on it. So we're going to go through and windrow it as long as the machine is able to windrow it. I mean, the Deere machine, there's been years where I've taken first cut off of this in August, and the grass and thatch and the second or third growth that has come up through all of the first growth, well, has been so thick. I know there's videos on my brother's channel where I had to actually have it widen, the machine widened out all the way because it was throwing so much material out the back. And as far as first cut goes, the stuff being as tall as it is, and you know, it's gonna, you don't have the quality of material as you do a second or third cut. I'll let you guys in on a little secret. First cut last year, what you can't use, look in the review mirror and use that as a, you know, a template for how every year is going to go forward. But last year, I actually made more money on my first cut, you know, on a tonnage basis. I got more per ton for my first cut than I did for my second and third cut, and that was better quality stuff. But it all depends on who's willing to pay what. And from what I'm hearing this year, first cut, a lot of guys are getting a huge amount of material. My buddy, you guys know my buddy Ryan, he's chopping, was chopping. He got this silo filled last night. And he said that he went from being able to run in, what was it, B2, B3 on a 4630 pulling a pull type Deere chopper. And he said he was running A3 when he first started this year. And he says by last night, he said it was A2. It's all that tractor could handle. For those of you that aren't really familiar with transmissions and stuff like that, dropping down from B range to A range, it's significantly slower, and going from A3 to A2 is that much slower yet. And he said that the chopper, it was everything the chopper could do, the tractor could do, to keep the material going through it. And that 4630 is running a bit warm too, I believe. He's got it turned up, so that might actually hurt hay prices going forward. I don't know. I'm getting tired of trying to debate it. Calvin's hanging out in the grass, but I'm gonna move along. I want to get out of here. I gotta go see what it looks like up on the bench. But I'm really hoping, beyond hope right now, that the storms that they're calling for tonight really aren't gonna amount to much, because after today, it's blue sky and sunny. Literally, that is the forecast. Blue sky, sunny, and warm. Probably humidity, I know, but it's June in southwest Wisconsin. The forecast is, what, 5 days? Today is Wednesday. If we can cut it Thursday, and we're good until Tuesday night is when I want this stuff picked up and gone. But here's the tricky part. We're not just doing this. So we got this ground, and then I have some ground that we're buying the hay off of. It's already on the ground. We got to make that yet. Plus we have the pastures of my brothers, all of my dad and brother stuff. We'll just say that. So yeah, we got over 200 acres of stuff we're probably going to be trying to make here in the next 5 or 6 days. And you know, finding the help to actually get it done might be kind of tricky, because just me and Ryan, it actually might turn into a spring or fall work situation. I don't typically run all night making hay, but for what we're looking at right now, I might have to. We might have to, because if I got to do it, Ryan's going to do it. Run all night and get hay baled and get it hauled in, especially if they're calling for rain again here starting next Tuesday. And then, come on, let's go. See, the reason I have to have them on the four-wheeler, other than, you know, I don't want them getting too tired because it's hot and ugly out, I can lose them down here really easy. So I just try to keep them with me. And the tricky part is, with trying to get hay made, I have to side dress all my corn yet. And that's like a 4 or 5 day job. That's with no issues and running pretty hard. So I've got to get out of here. So I hope you guys appreciated the bottom update. It's fun for me to go back and look at these and see how it performs. I was feeling kind of anxious. for how this stuff looked when I came down and checked it about a month ago, and if the weather just worked out right or what, the cold, the warm, the what, but I'm thinking the dry fertilizer definitely helped it too, because it is tall like this the whole way down to the bottom. It's a mile from up here, from this section all the way down to the end of the other section. It's a mile, a little over a mile, and it's thick. So if I'm able to make all this, I don't know what the field really looks like yet, but even making 65-inch rounds, 5 feet wide by 65 inches tall versus the 60 inches last year, I'm wondering if we aren't going to be pushing that 300 bale mark off this down here. So I'm not going to be against it, but it just means that my shed ain't going to hold it all down here, and I'm going to have to haul up some of it up to the home farm, or to my farm, and throw it in. But I got to get moving. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys later. This is the upper bottom. This is in the actual low spot. And I just wanted to make a quick reference to the area that hasn't been made in forever, about the last area on this farm that hasn't been made in forever. Between these two fence lines, I couldn't tell you the last time anything has been drugged through there to deal with this material, the regrowth, the new growth, the thatch. And to give you an idea of what it looks like when you manage it, when you make it, you're taking off all the material and you're letting all of the new growth come up without anything to have to grow through, the sun having to get down through, so you don't have any kind of mad material like this did, to get the ground heated up. It is, I think, the 15th of June, and all of this and everything on the far side of those stakes there was made last fall. And well, that dried up enough. That is a low spot where I got worried about getting stuck. But late in the year, you start to dry out in the late summer, and it allows you to get to some of these areas, which the low-lying areas over there still has some water in them, albeit they're not completely full, but the water is still present. So I'm hoping after second, or hopefully by third cut, I'll be able to go through and get it all cleaned up again. But you guys can see a pretty clear difference of what the rest of this would look like if it wasn't being made, because that's, well, very clearly not even headed out yet. It's shorter, might be greener, but I guarantee you that didn't start growing nearly as soon as this stuff started growing. And I'm sure it's got some fertilizer on it with that dry fertilizer spreader whipping stuff out. So if you're gonna go through and you're talking about trying to keep your fields, your ground healthy, I'll go through and make it all up and try to make something out of it versus leave it do its thing. So yeah, and this fence, hopefully after first cut we can get in. All we got to do is pull the posts and the stakes out on that far one, and this one, it's got wire and everything on it yet, and it's actually mainly woven wire. So going through and hopefully being able to just take the tines and pick it up and get everything that's there. So all right, I got to head back to the farm and see what I got to get done to get everything battened down for the storm, and try to get the 76 as ready to run tomorrow as I can, because there is a lot of material here. It sounds crazy to be stressed out about making hay like I get stressed out about it, but the stuff is essentially row crops to me. It's made to be sold. I mean, my 25 cows and calves, well, I don't have 25 calves because, I don't know, the bull was I wasn't misfiring. I think everybody got bred for this fall, I think is what happened. So I got a third of my calves already, and the rest of them I'm hoping will show up this fall. We're not talking about cattle though, we're talking about grass, and I can easily produce more than I could potentially feed to feed my cattle. And I'm not going to go buy a bunch of high-priced cattle just to feed grass out. I mean, I want quality. The cows are there to eat the stuff that I don't want to sell, and stuff looks nice. I'm hoping we can just burn through it with 2 balers, crank through it with the rhino rake. And the big challenge is once we get this cleaned out, that opens up all of this so that rhino rake can just run, and 2 balers can just run, say, nice big open-ish fields. Granted, you got to watch for hills and the low-lying spots that could get you stuck, but I'm feeling pretty good. I'll feel a lot gooder if I actually have it at least baled up, even if it gets a little rain on it after I get it baled. It's not the end of the world, but baled up and put inside if I think it's worth it. My big concern is I don't want to put freshly made feed inside right away. I like to give it a chance to air out. So that'll probably be what happens. We're going to be stacking it up by the buildings, and I'll stack it in as soon as I can. It'll be getting 4 wraps of net wrap on it, so that heavy amount of net wrap does great for shedding water. It's the torrential downpours that you got to watch out for, which I'm hoping we're going to be avoiding that even tonight. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully, you're going to have some haymaking videos coming up here really soon. So I'll talk to you later.